Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. I hope you got your green on. Join me today as we talk about the Columbia University students that are finding their way back home to their foreign countries. The Dragon spaceship that just docked with the International Space Station to bring our two astronauts back home that were on an extended vacation for about 8 months. The Bulletproof George Washington, why our president is much like a head coach of an NFL football team, the new stablecoin legislation, and Zelensky once again is backing out of a ceasefire deal because that guy's got sticky fingers. Stick around. You just might learn something. Welcome to the Eric T Conversation. I'm Eric T. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. In honor of St. Patrick's Day, let me leave you with a little toast. Here's to a long life and an easy one, a pretty girl and an honest one, a cold pint and another one. Cheers, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I hope all of you that partook on Sunday got up this morning and go to work. And those of you that are partaking today in the actual festivities of St. Patrick's Day, I hope you're safe and having a good time doing it. And that's my small observation of the day. Well, Mohamed Khalil, the Columbia student that has been detained and is getting deported. A lot of people are upset about that, and I just don't understand the reason why. The guy's not even an American citizen. He is here on a student visa or even a green card for that matter. And the things that he was doing while he was there were disruptive to the student body. He had a lot of anti-Semitic remarks. He had a Facebook page that he was really targeting those types of students. He was causing a ruckus on campus, and he was disrupting the people in order to get to class, so they couldn't even get to class, amongst some other things that he was doing that I won't really talk about on here. But he's going back. That's what you call F around and find out. He effed around, and now he's finding out. Now, the other administration, they were all about that. They liked the unrest. They liked everybody arguing and disagreeing on things constantly. So they let all that stuff slide. Do you think really Joe Biden from 20 years ago would have put up with it? Probably not. But now the new administration, it's zero tolerance. You can come to this country and you can protest peacefully all you want. But when you get to the point when you're disrupting the everyday activities of the rest of the student body, you're going to get out of here. And they're going to send you back to the country of origin. And this is what I don't understand. You want to come to America for all that America has to offer, but yet you come here and you carry flags of your home country, you protest on the streets of America for your home country, then just go back. I don't understand that. My family, when they came here, they're proud to be an American. And that's all we talked about is being American. We didn't really talk about being anything else because this is the beacon of freedom. But what really kind of irritates me, I guess, in a way, and you can do it, it's part of freedom of speech, is like burning the American flag. I just don't really understand that. The one thing that symbolizes freedom across the country is the American flag. The one thing that is a beacon of freedom across the globe is the Stars and Stripes. It's the American flag. But yet people seem to want to burn it in protest. Last year, those Palestinian students were doing it all over the place, just burning our American flag. And I don't understand. This is America. You're here. We're allowing you to do that. You couldn't do that in their country. Try doing that in Russia, burning the Russian flag on the street. See how far that gets you. Try doing that in a country like Iran or Iraq. See how far that gets you. It's not going to get you very far. They're going to get you pretty quick, and woof, you're going to be gone. But here in the United States, we allow that. And I just don't like it. I really don't. I think it's a problem with our society that the one thing that symbolizes freedom, people will burn it and disregard it like it's nothing. There are a lot of flags around the world that symbolizes different countries. It's been around for thousands of years. And you can't name probably 10 different flags of other countries. You probably couldn't name 2 or 3 of them. But every country in the world can tell you what the Stars and Stripes is and what country it belongs to. That's how important and valuable that flag is. So when you come to this country as a student and you do the things that you're doing to disrupt kids trying to go to college and just walk to class, you're going to go home. And I applaud this administration for having zero tolerance with this type of behavior. We don't want it in our country. We're all about protesting, freedom of speech. But when you're disrupting lives and you're threatening people and you're making it to the point where it's uncomfortable and students are afraid to go on campus that they're paying money for, you're going to go. And a lot of this started happening because Columbia University, they got a little wake-up call from the United States. No more federal funding, just got cut off. So all of a sudden now they're suspending a bunch of different students. And they're all going to get out of here. And they're going to keep them from graduating, revoking their diplomas, and all those other wonderful things that they should have done to begin with. Because if you allow this type of behavior to continue and to fester, it's like a cancer. It's just going to start taking over everything. And then you lose complete control, and then you got a shit show on your hands. So I applaud Columbia University for doing the right thing, but you had to get strong-armed to do that. So all these other universities that are out there, you should learn and take a hard lesson from this. It's time to start having civility on our college campuses because you're there to learn. That's it. Protest, but do it peacefully and let others go to class. The economy is showing signs of turning it around. I know it's not as quick as everybody thought it was hopefully going to be. And those on the left, that's all they got to complain about. And it's funny. The news, all they do is talk about the negativity of the Trump administration. There's nothing he's been doing that's good. That's just what they're supposed to do. That's what they're doing now. They don't have any left or right side what they want to talk about. It's all negative, 24/7, just hating on the Trump administration, everything they're doing. But it's making a comeback. And people are talking about, oh, we're going to be in a recession. Do people understand what a recession is? A recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. Well, we already had a recession. We had it in 2022 under the Biden administration, 2 negative quarters of a GDP, and we were in a recession. But the experts like, oh, no. We're not in a recession now. You need like 3 consistent quarters, blah, blah, blah. You need this, and this. You need the alphabet soup. You need to do this, and that. No. Under Joe Biden, when it really is under a recession, they try to move the goalpost a little bit. Not how it works. So we already had a recession. Trump is doing things that are going to hurt a little bit. It's what's necessary to make significant adjustments. It's like anything else in life. I like using this example. When you get a new coach, a head coach on a team, they do things their way. They change a lot. They change new players. They do all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what the president's doing. He's the new head coach, and he's bringing in his assistant coaches. He's bringing in his staff. He's bringing in some of his own players so he can put a team together to win ball games. Here's a great example. Everybody remember Jimmy Johnson, the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Well, he took over the team in 1989. And when he did that, Jerry Jones was like the new owner. Brought in his old college roommate from Arkansas. Jimmy Johnson was a well-respected coach in South Florida when he coached the Hurricanes to a national championship. And he took over the reins in 1989. Does anybody remember what he did? If you don't, I'll tell you. He traded Herschel Walker that first year. Traded him like the best running back in the country. He traded him to Minnesota Vikings for a slew of draft picks and a whole bunch of other different players that they traded for one Herschel Walker. People thought he was crazy to do that. But guess what? It is known as the building blocks of that dynasty in the early 90s. Because 4 years later, they won the Super Bowl. And then a year after that, they won a Super Bowl again. Yeah, I know. It was against the Buffalo Bills. But that's what he did. He came in there. He changed the entire structure of that team. People thought he was crazy to do it. But he did it. And he created a winning formula. But at the time, people thought he was making a tremendous mistake by getting rid of Herschel Walker. And it all worked out, didn't it? It hurt for a little while. That first year, they went 1-16. That was a terrible record. Nowadays, coaches lose their job over that. But they went through the storm, and look what happened. They got a dynasty over there in Dallas for a little while. So that's what Trump is doing. So you have to understand, some of these things are going to be difficult to deal with. And the left, that's just the only excuse. They just constantly have to disagree with Trump and say he's doing the wrong thing and get people on the left are really scared. People in the middle are like, you know what? Let's hope he does the right thing. And the people on the far right are defending all of it. But in the long run, in about 6 to 8 months, I believe, you're really going to start seeing things progress, get much better, and the economy is going to be moving in the right direction. Tariffs are already working. Egg prices are down. I talked about it the other day. Inflation's down. Gasoline prices are going down. Slowly but surely. What they say? Rome wasn't built in a day. But things are happening in a positive direction. You just got to have a little faith. A little thing that's kind of close to home is because I live on the space coast of Florida and I can watch the rockets right out my front door take off every time they go up. The Dragon spaceship that just went off the other day to rescue those 2 astronauts that were stuck on the International Space Station for about 9 to 10 months when it was supposed to be a 8 to 9 day tour. They got stuck. Here's the deal. There's a lot of misnomers of what actually happened. There was some technical issues with the capsule. There were some other logistical issues with it as well while they were stuck up there. They really haven't got a straight answer, but the straight answer that we got from Elon Musk, and he's the one that launched the rocket up there because he offered to bring them back like 4 months ago. He offered the Biden administration to bring them back. The story we get from Elon Musk is because he's the CEO of SpaceX. About 3 or 4 months ago, he offered to bring back these astronauts that were stuck up there. And the Biden administration refused. They didn't want him to bring them back because they didn't want him to have a win and be able to say, hey, look, Elon Musk, who now supports Donald Trump, we're able to bring back these astronauts. So we have Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams are the 2 astronauts that were bringing them back. Yesterday, the Dragon capsule docked with the International Space Station. Those people are getting on board. And hopefully the next couple of days, they'll be landing here in the good old US of A, getting themselves checked out, being able to walk with their legs again and do all that. And I think that's just cool, man, because where I live, I get to see the rocket launches all the time. I saw that rocket go up. Now it's bringing them back, hopefully safe to the United States, back to Earth, and it's going to be a good thing. So we got another win as far as SpaceX is concerned. So you can say all the bad things you want about Elon Musk, but he's just doing these things because it's the right thing to do. And sometimes people just do things for the right reasons. There's no ulterior motive. There's no choosing one side or the other. It's just being right in the middle and doing the right thing. Man, Zelensky just can't keep himself out of the news, this dude. So now he's walking back the ceasefire agreement. You want to know why? He wants money. Yeah, he wants more money. The grifter wants more money. Shocking. Zelensky said he doesn't want really go forward with the ceasefire unless there's some aid involved in that. Whatever that means, cash, weaponry, whatever it is. Here's the thing. This is just speculation on my part, but this is what I truly believe. That guy's not running shit over there. He's an actor. All right, we went over this before. The dude was an actor. He is playing a part of a president because his role before he became president was the role of a president of a country. So that's what he's doing. This guy's playing a role. So what happened was he makes these agreements. Then he goes back and somebody's telling him in his ear, hey, man, what are you doing? We got to get money. The well is running dry. We got to get more money. So you need to go back to Trump, tell him you don't want the ceasefire unless there's $10 billion or whatever included in that deal. And then he's like, oh, man, I got to go back to that. He's got to go back. He's got to say, oh, listen, I made a mistake. My bad. I don't want to ceasefire unless we got a little money. And I kind of feel bad for the guy because he's really is like a middleman. He's not making any decisions over there. He's going back to whoever was telling him what to do. And he's saying, hey, I got a ceasefire. Like, would you get money? No, I didn't get money. Well, go back and get some money because we're not going to do a ceasefire unless we get some more money involved. And that guy's got to crawl back, change his mind, go back on what he said. It's just constant. It's happened 2 or 3 times now. So if you're not paying attention to the scorecard, this dude is being handled by somebody else. It's clearly obvious to me. Like I said, it's my opinion, but that's what I think. This guy's not in there sitting behind his desk just making home run decisions left and right. He's got people that are telling him what to do. But so he's going back and he wants some cash now. And I think that's crazy. At one point, do we got to keep giving this guy money? He had a ceasefire agreement. Russia, they didn't really want to agree to it on the terms that they came up with. That's what negotiations are about. Tit for tat. You pull a little, I pull a little bit. You get something, I get something, and we both go away unhappy. That means you got a good deal, right? That's what needs to happen. So hopefully this guy can realize he's not getting any more money. You had an agreement, and when you make an agreement, that's it. It's like when you go buy a car and you tell the dealership, hey, I want to pay $25,000 for this car, out the door, tax, tag, and title, everything. And he says, done. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. And then you come up with some other reasons why you don't want to get the car, or you renegotiate the deal. No, when you got an agreement, the deal's done. You spit on your hands, you shake, and then you move on because the deal is done. It's closed. That's how a deal is done. And Zelensky, he's not getting that. I don't think a lot of you remember when Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, was in El Salvador. The El Salvadorian president said, hey, listen, if you want to send any of your criminals to our country, we'll house them in your prisons for you. No problem. If you want to send, you got citizens over there that are committing heinous crimes, you want to send them over here, we'll put them in our violent prisons. No problem. If you have illegals that you want to send to our prisons that committed crimes over there, send them over. Well, here's 238 Venezuelan criminals from the gang Tren de Aragua, and they're finding out very quickly. Look at these guys. They're taking them off the airplane. They're loading them into buses. These guys look scared shitless. Trust me. I saw some of the behind the scenes of the El Salvador in prison. You don't want to go there. You don't want to go there. So now that's where we're going to put these guys. We're sending them back there. It's called deterrence. So what's going to happen is they're going to be calling home. And they're going to say, no, you don't want to get arrested in the United States because we're going to El Salvador. And this prison is terrible. They're cutting their hair, crew cuts. They're cutting their beards off, putting them in like white suits, yellow jumpsuits. I mean, it is a very traumatic experience what these guys are going through. This looks like back in the old days when you used to show up at basic training. That's how horrifying this was. These guys have a whole new reckoning waiting for them in El Salvador. And I applaud that. That is some of the coolest things that I've seen in a long time. Trump is not messing around. So if you want to come to this country illegally and you want to commit crimes, we're not going to send you to the United States penitentiaries. We're going to send you to El Salvador, where you're going to be wishing you were in the United States prisons. This is horrifying what these guys are going through. This shaving his head. Oh, my goodness. Well, anyway, I thought that was great. I wanted to share that. That was great news. That's another F around and find out situation. And these dudes from Venezuela, they're finding out quick that they went to the wrong country and they thought they were on Easy Street in a recliner on the beach under the Biden administration. Not under Trump. He's got a heavy fist, baby. Heavy fist. I love it. So the stablecoin bill has passed committee and it's going on to being voted in the Senate. Now, if you don't know what a stablecoin bill is, that is basically legislation that's going to stabilize certain particular cryptocurrencies that are called stable coins, and they are pegged to like the US dollar. They are 1-for-1 on the dollar. And the reason why we need stablecoin legislation, because a lot of these products that we're going to be transferring over blockchain need to have a steady price. Okay. You can't have significant fluctuation like a regular cryptocurrency does and the volatility of that asset. So the stablecoin bill passed the committee. It's most likely going to pass the Senate, and it's going to move on and probably get passed by Congress as well. The really cool thing about this is Ripple. Ripple created their RLUSD several months back. And the regulation that proposed in the legislation is perfectly lined up with the Ripple stablecoin. It has to be pegged to a US dollar or US Treasury bills that are used to fund these stablecoins, pegged to the US dollar. It has to be able to not fluctuate highly in price, and it has to be able to have a pullback. In other words, if the government needs that money to be pulled back, it has to have a mechanism to be able to re-pull back that cryptocurrency on that stablecoin. And that's all in there with the Ripple stablecoin, which is cool. It's kind of like they made it and they knew the legislation already. So if you're not paying attention, all the tracks with Ripple are being laid. And what do you think is going to give the gasoline for that? It's going to be the XRP cryptocurrency that's going to be utilized to send that money back and forth. So they're going to use a stable coin over here, whatever it is, to send banking money or whatever they need to send it, the XRP ledger. And that's ran with cryptocurrency, and the cryptocurrency is XRP, and they're going to be able to send those funds. So Ripple, over the last 7-8 years, while getting under the lawsuit, they've been laying the foundation for the financial changing that we are waiting for. Everything you have is going to be tokenized on these blockchains, and they're going to be utilizing stable coins to do the initial transfer of money. Because remember, It cannot move significantly in price, but the cryptocurrency can. And you're using XRP, it transfers in 3 to 5 seconds. Not a lot of volatility there in 3 to 5 seconds, right? Lightning fast. So that's a stablecoin bill. So be looking for that to come out probably the next month or so to be completed and get voted on, go through the Senate, hit Congress, and then the president's going to sign that legislation. And that's going to open up a lot of great things for the crypto community. So if you're in cryptocurrencies, I just tell you, do your own research, look into cryptos that are good for you, find ones that have good utility, because over the next year, you're going to start seeing this stuff really start to take shape. And our country is going to be using cryptocurrencies and blockchain to send all of this money for foreign aid, to foreign countries. All of it's going to go on a blockchain these days. That's where it's headed. And if you can get it now, they're like penny stocks. They're 20 cents, 30 cents. You know, XRPs, I think right now it's $2.30. These are very affordable assets you can purchase right now for bargain basement prices that once this stuff goes through, it's going to be very difficult to purchase them. They're going to go to a point where you're not going to be able to buy 1,000 for a couple of $100. So it's not financial advice, but I keep telling people, if you're not paying attention, you're going to be lost, because the dot-com of the 90s made a lot of people a significant amount of money. And cryptocurrencies are going to do the same thing. Be careful of the meme coins. Those are all, collectibles, but there are ones like XRP, XLM, Algorand, a bunch of them that I've named several times that have actual utility. And you should look it up. Find utility cryptocurrencies and purchase those types. And like I say, don't put more into it than you're willing to lose, because it's very volatile right now. So until we get regulation, you got to be very careful. So don't put your retirement plans in them, all right? Please. Put money you don't really give a shit about losing. And that's my advice. Well, here's something I want to talk about a little bit more near and dear to me. Since the election, I can tell that the country's kind of getting more and more riled up by the left. That's just what they're doing. And I find that sad, because Trump may not be a perfect person, nor is he a perfect president, but he's what we got. And I truly believe the guy wants to do the best for this country. You can say he doesn't love this country. You can say he hates veterans. You can say everything you want about the guy. But I truly believe he has this country's best interests at heart. And the reason why I say that is because you can look at interviews he gave 30 years ago. He was saying the exact same thing. Nothing has changed for Donald Trump. Nothing. What he said in 1990, he's saying right now. And I believe we need to give a guy like that the best opportunity to do what he needs to do to make this country great. There's no other country like the United States. There is none. If the United States falls, there is no place for freedom anywhere in this world like America. It's over with. So the people on the left that I see online and comment on some of these posts that I do, and when I do a live, it's real negative all the time. And it's just not like at a disagreement. It's going for your jugular negativity with some of these people. And I just don't understand it. Why do you let yourself get so riled up over somebody being president? There's a lot of presidents that I didn't really care for. I didn't go ape shit over it. I wasn't a big fan of Obama. I certainly wasn't a big fan of Joe Biden, but he was a president we had. And I wish he would have done a better job. I wish he wasn't 81 years old when he was president. I do, because his cognitive decline was drastic, and it was going on way before he ran for president in 2020. And that's very apparent. And it's coming out all over the place now. Jake Tapper even wrote a book about it. Even though he said Joe Biden is sharp as a tack, he basically wrote a book saying Joe Biden was not sharp as a tack. And who was running the country? It was running by committee. We already know that now by the auto pen. We already know that by his wife was always there giving cabinet meetings together with her in charge. The son was there. Very strange. So people were running this country that weren't elected to office. That should be scary for a lot of people. And for this time right now, we should all get behind President Trump and hope he does a great job for everybody. It's about his legacy. And I really believe he cares about it. I truly believe that he doesn't want to leave that Trump name tarnished after being president for the second time. His name's big. His name's on everything. So I think in history, he wants to be remembered as one of the greatest presidents we've ever had. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of the story, the Bulletproof George Washington. A lot of people don't know this story. This is a remarkable story about our first president of the United States. It was during 1775, the French and Indian War, where a young Colonel George Washington was shot off 2 different horses, 4 bullet holes in his coat, shrapnel in his hair, and he wasn't hit once, not once. So the story was accounted by a lot of eyewitnesses, even from the Indian side that witnessed the shots that were fired at George Washington. So the story goes is that the Indian chief during that battle wanted to meet George Washington years later, like 15, 20 years later, knew that George Washington was in some town, but it was close enough that the Indian chief wanted to go meet him. So he asked his tribe to take him for a journey to go meet this great man. When he met George Washington, and this is all true accounts, the Indian chief told him, "I am a great marksman. We shot you 17 times, to the point that we shot you so many times, I told my men to stop shooting you because you could not be killed." Crazy, right? Couldn't be killed. He told him, he said, "You are going to lead a great nation one day." This is what the Indian chief told him. He told him he did not have white man blood in him. He was of Indian blood. And he said what he saw was the most remarkable thing he had ever seen. And he just had to meet the man who could not be killed in battle. Now, if you know anything about George Washington, he went off to some other battles, never hurt or hit once in any of these battles. Kind of strange, right? Remarkable. That's the Bulletproof George Washington, our first president of the United States, and probably one of the greatest generals we've ever had as well. A little bit like Donald Trump. I think he's here for a reason. And we have to give the guy a chance. So we got to stop fighting so much and arguing all the time, because great things can come when we collectively get together. And that's what the politicians and the elites, they don't want. The day we all wake up and realize that we're being played is the day they no longer have power, because they want us dumb. They want us arguing. They want us disagreeing. Why do you think the legacy media constantly bashes Trump? It's going to get about 30 to 40% of the nation, of the population in America, to agree with that and to be manipulated through these mediums. That's what they're there for. They're to keep everybody arguing. But if you woke up one day and said, "You know what? This doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I don't like it. I don't like that we're constantly arguing with each other. I don't like going online and calling people names all the time that I don't even know." Because you wouldn't do that to somebody in person, but everybody does it online. It's great. So I just hope we can start getting along and putting some of this stuff behind us, because he's a president for everybody. Now, I get it. I didn't like Joe Biden. I did not like Joe Biden. And as I said, he wasn't running the country. But I certainly would hope he wouldn't destroy the country like he did. I wish he didn't make our military soft and weak. I wish he didn't worry about children. I wish he would have worried more about children than whatever their genders were. That's what I wished. And I wish we would have had a much stronger, happier, friendlier country with each other. I wish we didn't have wars that broke out all over the place because of that guy. I wish we didn't have wars that broke out all over the world during his watch. I wish we didn't have that, but we did. So I don't think he did a good job. But this guy, Trump, I think he's going to do a great job. I believe that. I believe God saved him for a reason that day in Butler, Pennsylvania. I believe it by a fraction of an inch. And if you've ever been in combat or had bullets fly by you, that is remarkable. Well, that's it for today. If you could do me a favor, subscribe, hit the notification button, follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, and all the other formats that are out there, because I'm trying to generate a little bit more, I guess, following on different formats besides just TikTok. So if you're on there, please pass it to a friend. Let them know what I'm doing. I'd really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks.